Hello, I'm Nina from ninasoap.com. This morning I'd like to talk to you about a scam and identity theft that my husband has been victim of. So let's get to it. It's a very difficult topic for me to discuss, but I'd like to share that with you so that you are aware of those things. They happen. So be very careful with your finances. Few months ago, I was paying our mortgage and I didn't know how much my income was. So usually my husband will record those information on our spreadsheet and then I will use it. And he didn't do it. So I decided to open our bank account, which I have done for a while. And I opened it and I noticed that there are some transactions that I was not aware of. And I called him. In fact, he was sleeping and I woke him up and I asked him about it. And he didn't know anything either. So I asked him to call the bank and ask them, what those transactions were about. So there were some MoneyGram transactions. And I was curious, and then I went deeper because I have not checked our bank account. That's one of my mistakes as well. It's not because I use cash for groceries that I shouldn't be checking our bank account. I just let my husband deal with it. And, he didn't notice it either. So I went further and I looked at prior months and I noticed that there were some transactions there as well. So I brought it to his attention and he called the bank. So they said they will credit us. They will cancel those transactions and credit us. And as I was looking through our bank statements online, I noticed that my husband was paying quite a bit toward his credit card. A few years ago, we paid off all our credit card debt. I might talk about that in another video. And we pay credit card, car loan, tuition, student loan. We pay all those debts and we are working toward our mortgage as well. So he decided to use his credit card to purchase gas. And gas, we budget $55 a month. So I was surprised to see payment toward his credit card over $100 a month. And I asked him about it. And he didn't really have an answer for me. He thought we were using the credit card for other purchases as well, which we do in rare occasion, and then we turn around and pay because we already budget for those expenses. But for online transaction, we'll just use the credit card and then we just turn around and pay. So he gave me that argument. I told him that, well, we didn't make so many purchases during those months, so it should just be his gas. And I asked him to open his credit card online account so that we can check those statements. It turned out that he just used his smartphone to pay those bills without really checking the statements. So when he opened his credit cards online, I saw some transaction and I asked him, they didn't have anything to do with his car gas payment. I asked him if he was aware of that. He said no, so he didn't make those transactions. So, and they went far back to April and we just found out in September. So somebody has been using his credit card since April or May. And we only found out in September when I was trying to pay mortgage and I didn't know how much I should pay. So thankfully we caught it, but we should have caught it sooner. And it turned out that he was paying those bills without being responsive for them. So when I use a spreadsheet and I recall everything that that was suspicious. And it turned out that the way they started with, I believe, Bank of America, and then a few months later they moved to his Discover card. Few months later they moved to Capital One, and finally they moved to our bank account. And they start spending money, and they spend about $800 on MoneyGram. They send money to Philippines using my husband. Later we found out, because the bank did an investigation, they found out that, well, they used my husband API address. API address or IP address. So his cell phone, his old email address, and our bank account, or his debit card or something like that. And they make other purchases as well throughout the months. So for his Bank of America, my husband paid $1,000, $199.07 toward those fraudulent activities. And for Discover, I think we put it down here as well. I think he put $272.42. That's what he paid. And he called them and asked them about those activities. And he explained that he's been paying it without even noticing it. So, and I don't know if it'll be easy for you to see it, but is very interesting. Be very careful with your information. Even though they did cash advance, how possible somebody does not have access to your car? How can they take cash out of your credit card account? So they did cash advances for those amount. Can you believe it? And then we get charged for the fee, and we get charged for the interest, because my husband was just paying the minimum due. I don't know how he was not opening the statement. He was just making payments. So there was a lot of those fees. He has the card. How somebody used the card to do cash advance on them, we don't know. So Sam's Club here is when he bought the gas. But other than that, there are so many of those transactions. And we have this one as well. So, and he was making payments. Look at how much he paid. So he was just making payments without thinking about what was going on. For $55 a month on gas, we shouldn't be seeing $414 of expenses on the card. So he didn't really take his card seriously. But yeah, everything is a learning experience. So we contact them to discuss those transactions. And well, Discover said they will send us a check for $272. Bank of America didn't want to do anything, but I approached my husband to call them and explain the situation properly. So finally, after switching him between different specialists, they agreed to pay him back for that amount. But guess what? They have not paid any of those things, because when they try to reject those payments, the vendor claim it back again. so they put it back on his card. So he didn't get any of those payments back. Well, it's not the, if it was just the end of our problem, it will be okay. It got worse. So I'm trying to see how much really went through our bank account. So when finally whoever is using his credit card got to our bank account, they make quite a bit of expenses there. The good things with Capital One is, by the time I was discussing this issue with my husband, they make 2 transactions there that were pending. So we called them, and Capital One canceled those transactions. So for our bank, well, I know that $800, they make two MoneyGrams transactions, one for $500 and I believe one for $300 something. So about $800, and other purchases as well. So the bank credit us for a certain amount, and that's why we pretty much lost in our bank account. $1,017.53. So that's that, and I can show you those purchases highlighted as something we are not aware of. So, and it went on. It was in the month that I caught it, that they make those purchases, and that's the MoneyGram. That's the MoneyGram. How somebody can access your information and purchase MoneyGram. You can see the date right there, and purchase MoneyGram, and they send it to Philippines, and that's that. So the bank credited our account, and we thought we were okay. Well, it turned out that the month that followed, they took it back. We are not aware of that. So my husband got paid, and the bank just took. He gets paid every 2 weeks, so they took 2 weeks of his payments, a part of it, to cover that expense. And they say that, well, when they went and did the investigation, the MoneyGram company confirmed that they used my husband's IP address, his debit card or bank account, I don't know, and his email address. Therefore, they cannot refund our bank. So our bank took it back when we least expected. So, and as we went on, somebody called my husband one morning after he came back from work. He used to work overnight. So when he's back in the morning, you know, he feels very tired. So as he was resting, somebody called him and said that, well, he was hired, his company was hired by my husband's credit card companies to investigate the fraudulent activities that my husband is subject or has been a victim of identity theft. And they are U.S. Marshal, and they told him to open his computer and check U.S. Marshal site, and they directed him to a phone number, and that phone number turned out to be the phone number that called him. So he believed them. They told him about it. They told him his social security number, his credit card number, and some information about his bank account as well, and his address. So he thought they were legitimate. So they told him to not tell me about it, otherwise I might have to go through the same process. And they asked him to swear, you know, he's under oath. And they asked him to go to a city near us, to Bank of America office. He's going to take some cash out and send it to them, and they are going to use that to track whoever is using his credit card and bank. And later, the next day, they will send those money back to him. And he believed whoever called him he picked up the kids at school and went there. So he went to Bank of America and took cash out. And the whole time the person was on the phone with him. So they directed him to Target near the Bank of America's office, where he purchased Target card for $1,000. So I'm trying to figure out how much he took from each one of them. Well, he took from Bank of America, he took $11,000 out and purchased credit cards. No, purchased the gift card, $1,000 each. So they were just directing him from one store to the other. And from Discover, he made some purchases. They didn't find a branch there for him to take cash out of Discover. So they made him use it to purchase the gift card. Capital One, I think he took $200 out of there for a gift card from Walmart. Bank of America, he took $11,000 out. If I'm trying to see all my information here, but well, it just turned out that he took out about $17,950, and I'm trying to locate each one of those, but it was not all. They asked him before he left home how much we have in our bank account, and he told them the amount. They asked him to go get $3,000 out. The thing is, we put $350 a month in the saving account for our irregular expenses. We don't have emergency fund. We just estimate all those expenses we might pay for in the year that we don't pay for every month, like gifts, insurance, and all those things. So then we put $350 in the saving account for those expenses. So he took some money from the saving account, and he took some money from the checking account, which turned out to be his paycheck pretty much. And he took $3,000 cash out of our bank account, and he went and put about this amount on his credit cards. But on top of what he took out from our bank account, everything total to this amount pretty much. So now on top of whatever he took out, there's cash advance fee as well to be paid. And we track, because I got the police involved. I'll go deep into that later, but when the police came, he made us call the gift card, and each one of them that he put $1,000, we didn't find anything left. The only things we found was $200 from Walmart. That one, they didn't empty it. So that's that. And well, what happened is, when I came back from work, I didn't find them at home. It was a Wednesday when he was supposed to take the kids to the catechism. So, but they were supposed to be back by the time I'm back from work, and I didn't find them at home. So I was a little bit surprised, and I called him, but I couldn't get hold of him. And as I started cooking dinner, I got worried, because it started getting late, and I kept calling him without getting hold of him. So I called the police and asked them if there has been an accident in town, and they said no, nothing serious. And I said, well, my family is not at home, and they should have been at home by now. And I gave his name, but then they said they sent somebody over. But it took a while. They didn't send anyone. So I called the library, because he thought about going to the library with the kids. So I called the library, and they said it was against their policy to page anyone there because I wanted to see if they were there. And I didn't have car. We only have one car, and he used it. I kept calling him without success, and I called the police again. So finally the police came, and I explained the situation. And while they were on their way, I thought maybe they might ask me for his plates. So I went to his room and I looked for this extendable folder, and I couldn't find it. And I couldn't find his laptop. So I worried, because that day I told him that we have been paying for 3 cell phones, including his mom. His mom worked hard. She can afford a phone, so she needs to move off of our phone so that we can cut down on our expenses. You know, I was just trying to revise our budget and see what we can cut down. And I told him to tell his mom to move off of our plan so that we can to find another place that we can take her off. And he didn't really agree with me on that. And I told him, well, we need to save money. You know, if her mom can afford a phone, she needs to pay for it. If we are broke, if she's in need, we won't be able to help her. So we need to take our finances seriously. So we had a little disagreement that morning, and I thought, was this something that just make him snap or what? So I panicked, because this has all his credit card information in it, and I couldn't find it. So I don't know why, but then I opened our bank account and I saw $3,000 missing. And I just asked myself, he just left me with the keys or what? So when the police came, I showed them our bank account online, and I told them about everything. And well, they said they cannot do anything. They asked me if he's a danger for the kids, to the kids, and I said no. And they said, well, they cannot do anything, but what they can recommend me is to contact a lawyer, a divorce lawyer, to file for custody of the children. And like, I was not expecting that. So, and they asked me to call him. So when I called him, I was able to talk to him, and he said he told me the city he was in, that the Bank of America called him to come over for some questions. And I told the police, how come they'll call him for some questions? They just have to ask him over the phone. So he went there to answer some questions, and he'll be back by 8 p.m. And I talked to the kids as well. They seems to be okay. But then the police asked me if I want them to talk to him, and I didn't want to, you know, make him, to push him even further. And I don't know if he, you know, he was really in that city, or he's trying to run away with the kids or what. So I told the police it'll be better we just, you know, they don't talk to him right now. So they say that, well, if he's not back the time he said, to give them a call. They'll try to call him back around 10 or midnight and talk to him. And I gave them his number, and they left. And I kept calling him. He won't pick it up. Sometimes he'll pick it up, but he won't talk much. He say he's on the road. So finally, I went online and I looked for some investigators' address, and I talked to one of them and explained the situation, and they say if the next day he's not back, to let them know. Because, and then I called his mom and asked if he was there. She said, I mean, to just talk to her, and she didn't seem to, you know, to be aware of anything, so I didn't push her. But later I called her again and asked her if she heard back. She heard from my husband, and she said no. And I didn't say anything. I just hung up. I called the police and let them know that, you know, they were not back by 10. And I just stayed there, confused, scared, not knowing what to do. Finally, they came back around midnight, and he said he's going to work. He dropped the kids and he left. My middle one was tired. She said she has headache. I have pie in the fridge, and I served her and my oldest one. They ate. I brushed their teeth and sent them to bed. My youngest one fell asleep in my husband's arm when they came back, so I put him to bed. And I called the police again and let them know that they came back but I like them to advise me how I'm going to approach the subject with my husband. So they sent one agent home. He was not the one that came earlier, and he told me that, and I explained the situation, and he talked to my oldest daughter. That's when my oldest daughter said that their daddy bought a lot of credit card. That's how she was calling it, bought a lot of credit card from Target. And the agent told me that 2 other people have been victim of that scam in the city. One lost $24,000 and the other one about $2,000 or $4,000. So it could be an identity theft. To talk to him about it and see what he's going to share with me. Probably he's not trying to run away with the kids. So when he's back from work, I asked him, it was around 3 in the morning, and I asked him what was going on. He didn't want to tell me anything. He said he was under oath. So I told him that I got the police involved and he need to be, open about the topic. And he said he cannot tell me much because he's under oath. So I called the police and I asked them to send somebody over. And the guy, the agent that came and that told me about the identity theft came back. By that time, I told my husband that an agent told me that 2 people has been victim of identity theft and lost money. So he needs to tell us what is going on. I think it was at that point that he realized that it could have been a mistake. And he started sharing the information with me before the police got here. And he explained everything and took all the card out. I don't know if I have it here. And the police asked him to call the card. We called them to see what we can find. And well, they used it all for $200. And I can show you that here. You can see them all here. So pretty much each one of those were worth $1,000. And I don't know how many we have here. And those are the receipts. Now you can see it, $1,000. Some are fading already. Wow, this one is $5,000. And it's Targets. This one is $750. Is Walgreens. Targets. $1,000. $250. $500. $1,000. And those are the ones that we opened already. $1,000. Targets. And we still have a bunch here. I will not go through all of them. $4,400. Gift cards. Targets. $1,000. Targets. Targets. $1,000. Gift cards. And all of that, most of them were cash advance, money taken out of Bank of America. He used Discover to buy some of them. The next day, because thank God we got the police involved, and he know he was a victim of a scam or identity theft. He was aware of that. They called him back the next day because they wanted to take money out of Discover as well. $1,000 gift cards, targets. So they called him, and he muted the call and went to the police straight. The police was able to talk to the guy, and the guy talked to my husband and said, okay, so why they didn't tell him not to tell anyone? And the police told my husband not to pick up a call that he doesn't know the caller. If that's important, they can leave a message. The police say that those people are professional. They are very good at what they do. They use a both phone. So they will call you with a phone you might think is legitimate, but it's not. So be aware of that. And I'm sharing this information to help others, anyone that might be victim of this. If you find out about this video before it happens, it might help you. Be aware of it. So let me see, I have something here. You can see cash advance. Don't even know how much we took out of this one here. I'm not seeing the full amount here, but yeah, it's here. 9,500 cash advance. Probably the fee, I don't know, the fee will be included, I don't know, but yeah. So yeah, and the police said that they'll call you with a blue phone, and you might think it's legitimate, but it's not. And they know the right things to tell you to make you believe them. And they might say that you are a victim of identity theft, and give you tell you everything that they can to get them to believe, to get you to believe. And they will say on the phone, because if they hang up, they won't be able to call you with the same phone number. So they'll stay with you on the phone the whole time. So he gave us some clues, so that when you hear those things, you know that something is wrong. And they say that no one should call you and ask you to take money out and buy a gift card. If you heard something like that, know that that's a fraud. Don't do it. So yeah, it can happen. It happened to us. Now we have $15,000 debt to pay off, and we will pay off, and we will show you how we have been paying them off as well. We just decrease our expenses so that we can fit within my husband's budget. We live on one income, and we use one income to pay our mortgage every month. Our mortgage is very low, less than $1,000, about $900 a month, but we pay about 3 times that amount every month so that we can pay off quickly. I'm not slowing down that process. I'm not changing it. I just told my husband he's in charge of the budget now. He just needs to cut down on expenses so that we can free room to include the credit card payment. And when you have an excess, it will just go toward the credit card payment. And he has done a great job cutting down on cable, phone, and I cut down on allowances as well. And I trim our $350 that we put toward the saving. I trim it off as well so that we can have enough to cover those expenses. The thing is, all that happened when his company canceled or cut off the overnight shift. So I just told him, after we evaluate multiple options, that it's just better he goes with the third shift to work, from 5:30 to 1 in the morning. It may not be full time, but it's okay. Because here is the thing, it's not how much you make that matters, it's how much you get to keep. So I told him it's okay, since he complains about a lack of sleep well, it's just a good time for us to take these mistakes and do something about it. Since his company is cutting off his shift, he's not going to be in the management team, he's going to be hourly working. It's going to be a cut down on his pay, about $400 a month. It's okay, we can manage it. He just need to come up with a budget that will fit his income, and we are able to trim our budget from $1,340 a month, that does not include mortgage, to $2,064 a month. And that free us, about $300 to put toward his credit cards. The minimum is about $283, but this month he was able to, last month he paid $290, but this month he's able to put $1,000 extra. Let me see if he has it here. December. So we estimate our credit card minimum to be $283. So he adjusted to $260 or something like that. But when that's the actual here, and then we have, that's our paper budget. Let me move it here a little bit. So we have estimate for December and actual. So when he was doing the actual, posting the actual, the minimum is $284. But then we have credit card extra. So he put $799.22 extra toward the credit card. So this one and this total to about $1,000 something. So he paid that amount toward the credit card this month. And he worked some overtime that helped out as well. So that's those two, his incomes. So we use that to live on. And our expenses, our monthly expenses is about $1,064. We try to live on, we don't live from paycheck to paycheck, we live on last month paycheck. So those the scam really affect our budget for the past 2 months, but we are able to cut up with that, and we save up his last month income. We put in the saving and move it to the checking for December expenses. So we use his last month income to pay for this month expenses. We live on last month paycheck. It's a good strategy to use. It helps us with our budget, not to budget based on every 2 weeks paycheck, but to budget for the months. So I just want to share with you, the fraudulent activities that my husband has been victim of. I told him to go to annualcreditreport.com and pull his report. He did it. Thankfully, no one opened a credit card on his name, and I asked him to freeze his account. He did it. So if you found yourself subject to fraudulent activities or identity theft, pull your report. It's free once a year. Pull it up from all those 3 credit bureau: Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax. And if you need to, freeze your account so that no one open a credit card in your name until you saw everything through. They will send you a PIN. If you want to unfreeze it, you'll call them with that PIN number to unfreeze it, or you go to unfreeze it online as well. Thank you for watching. I'm Nina from ninasoap.com. I hope you don't become a victim of an identity theft.